All right, so let's take a look at your essay. So we're not doing much with MLA format right now. MLA is double spaced, but I put this in double space just so I could look at certain components of your essay better as this is recorded. Excuse me. So taking a look at your intro, as far as your hook, I'm not sure if this is the best way to introduce your essay. So you say that mercy killings is bearable if it's like a medical situation, but then towards the end of your intro, you say mercy killing should not be a legal option to go out for life or to take someone else's life. So your introduction is a little bit unclear because you start with it's okay, but then you say it's not okay. So I understand you're looking at the gray area of mercy killing, that it is ethical, perhaps if it is just medically induced, but there are other type of mercy killings that maybe you are going to address that say it shouldn't be allowed. So that's that. Your intro is only 3 sentences, so this is a little concerning, and it looks like your paragraphs are a little bit short on the sentences. So I don't like to say paragraphs have to be this amount of whatever, but especially in a 5 paragraph format, this is not enough writing for that. So content wise, you need a little bit more. You're not quite introducing mercy killing, so it's a little bit unclear with what you're going to do and how you're going to tackle this on. So looking at some of the grammar things, so this is what I talked about with the remix sheet in class. Mercy killings is bearable. This should be mercy killings are because this is the plural, and we use the word are for plural words. Sorry, plural nouns, plural subjects. So this should be are. And I'm not so sure if bearable is the correct word because bearable means you can endure something. So people may say pain is bearable, but because someone is going to die as a result of a mercy killing, I'm not sure if this is the best. So I would say, looking at your intro right away, the word choice is a little concerning. That's one of the concerns I would have grammar wise. And then you have this verb and subject agreement that need to be addressed. And the last part right here is the difference between it's with an apostrophe and it's without an apostrophe. So it is would be the correct situation here, which is where you would use it apostrophe s, but we do not want contractions. And I see you have contractions in the essay as well. So even though this should be the contraction form, this needs to be it is. And then the other thing is it's a little bit unclear. So if mercy killings are going to happen because family members want to take you out of you misery, I think you mean you're here. So that they won't have to go to jail or so someone won't kill them because of something they did to them. This right here is a little bit confusing on what you're trying to address. So overall, the intro, there's some grammar concerns. You don't really have a clear thesis with what you're going to do. I mean, it's kind of right here, but the problem goes back to your hook and how you introduce the topic. All right, so as we continue to your body paragraphs, right away I'm noticing that you are not capitalizing names, so George and Lenny needs to be capitalized. And the problem with this one as well is you're not introducing who George and Lenny are. And obviously, as a class, we know that this is reference to Of Mice and Men, but you need to make clear that this is from Of Mice and Men. And then we have the contractions again. So this evidence is pretty good. So you have George taking Lenny's life because he didn't want Lenny to be murdered in jail or hurt in jail. Yes, that is true. And then you make the distinction of what mercy killing is, and then how that doesn't fit the definition, and that what George got away with is very different than how we see mercy killing. So this analysis is actually pretty decent, but like I said with the intro, part of the problem is you do not have a whole lot of content or substance to this paragraph. It is just 3 sentences long. So the evidence is okay here, but one of the sheets I may have passed out is looking at a few or a couple different examples per paragraph. So you have this one singular incident of mice and men, which is true. But again, this doesn't relate to the ethics as much. You need to make it clear that you are relating this to the ethics. So when you say, and that's not mercy killing, that's getting away with murder, basically. And the word basically pulls this out of the paper and pulls us out as readers because this takes a more informal tone being at the end of a sentence instead of being formally addressed. So when you define this, part of the problem is your definition of mercy killing should probably be in the intro to differentiate between the different kinds of mercy killing. But when it comes to this, pretty good example does have some analysis, but there's not a whole lot of substance to this paragraph. So as we move to this next one, Curly was going to let Lenny bleed out to death, but George takes a clean instant kill shot. Yes, so that is true. And some would say that's mercy killing, but it's not. If it was mercy killing, George would have let Lenny go to jail and be killed there. That's more of a mercy killing than what George did. George was just looking after Lenny so he wouldn't have to suffer for what he did. George didn't want Lenny to feel the harsh pain. So right here we've got some run-ons going again, and I'm not sure. This is where it doesn't connect. So there's a couple different issues. The first is these two paragraphs are basically the same. Same example, same kind of analysis. But right here you say if Lenny was in jail and killed, that's mercy killing. But in your previous paragraph, you said it's the type of killing done by lethal injections or by a patient's relative in the hospital pulling the plug. So now you have a different definition of mercy killing, which does not match with your essay. So you're a little inconsistent with what's going on here, as well as having the grammar issues as well. And then moving on to your last body paragraph, mercy killing is what happens to Candy's dog. It was old, had no teeth, and stunk really bad. So they showed, this is not a good word to start your sentences with. So they showed the dog mercy killing to put the dog out of its misery because the dog was obviously suffering. Was Lenny suffering? No. Was George too old to take care of himself or to be of use? No. So George has no right of mercy killing Lenny because he was nothing like Candy's dog. So we have the additional conversation with of mice and men, just a different mercy killing. But this is what I'm noticing right away that you did not address in your essay. You have absolutely nothing from the Time article or the Kevorkian article. So you just pulled things from Of Mice and Men, which was not part of what your assignment asked you to do. So once again, you have the good evidence of mercy killing in terms of the novel being related to the dog, and you have some analysis here, but it takes that informal tone. And even here, was Lenny suffering? Was George too old to take care of himself or to be of use? Comma, no. These are questions without question marks. So this is awkward. We don't have the capitalization again. And you have a little bit of analysis with how this is different from Lenny, which is fine. But again, it all goes back to what you have previously said. So this is a little inconsistent. All right, so we are back to at the end of your conclusion, or end of your essay with your conclusion. So you differentiate Lenny and the dog again, which is just an extension of your previous paragraph. So I don't think this is really a conclusion. And we've got some spelling errors with the red dot under there. So I'm just going to change it now. So be aware of that. And you kind of have the definition of mercy killing, again, is fine, and you're recapping it. What are the concerns? When Curly would have shot him in the gut, but that's still not mercy killing, that's murder. But you said previously if he was killed in jail, that's mercy killing. So overall, this is kind of what I'm noticing with your essay. You have some evidence that is being used with some attempt at analysis, but what it comes down to is you are not referencing the articles, which is a assignment concern. But you were also a little all over the place because, one, I think you're just lacking some content in your essay, but two, you go back and forth on what is mercy killing, what's allowed, so that makes it hard for us as a reader to really see what your position is. Because at one point, I was kind of seeing if we go back earlier, that if he was killed in jail, I was taking that as if Lenny had killed him, it's mercy killing. But then you change that here. So as we move on to your next essay, this is what you're going to have to do. The grammar issues I talked about were run-ons, punctuation, capitalization, contractions, and verb and subject agreement. And you fall out of you have a very informal tone when this should be pretty formal. So be aware of that. But you are lacking the evidence, which you can use specific quotes and examples from the articles, which you don't have the articles. And you don't really have much analysis. And you can, where I said earlier in the video where there is some analysis, there is some there. It's just not fully fleshed out yet. And then the other thing that you were asked to do is to have a paragraph that acknowledges the opposing side, which you don't really have that here at all. And because these two paragraphs, your supposed conclusion in this third body paragraph, are kind of the same, I'm kind of questioning if you have a true conclusion as well. Because you don't wrap it up as a kind of generic thing about mercy killing, it's just strictly back to of mice and men. So, moving forward with your essays, take a look at those grammar things, and then you need to make sure that you are referencing both articles and you're doing your analysis with it.